Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of The Brett Allen Show. Brett here chatting with Zach Smadu about Family Law, which is available to watch and stream now, which is such a great show and such a phenomenal cast. Zach, thank you so much for your time.
Brad, thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, this show has been out. We've got a few episodes. It's a really good show. And I think right now we are just in a time where people are looking to be entertained and just really good content. And this show definitely checks off all the boxes. You're one of the leads. What interested you in the project and sort of attracted you to it and made you decide that you wanted to commit time to it as a storyteller and as an actor?
Well, that's actually how you started the question about the how nuanced and interesting the show is. The scripts, when I first got them, that was the first thing that shouted out to me that really made me excited about it. It wasn't a kind of a law show that I'd seen before. It's not even a show that's centered specifically on the law, because these relationships, these family relationships, really do take precedent in so many of the episodes and what happens between the characters. And I thought that was really fascinating to kind of jump into. And the tone of the show, when I first read it, especially the first episode, I was somewhat confused. And that, I when I was going out for this project, there's 5 or 6 auditions that you do, and you callbacks, and then chemistry reads and stuff, and we're all kind of figuring it out together. And you you see kind of the material as it goes on throughout the season, in the episodes in the first season. And there was these funny moments. There would be this very dramatic scene, and then there'd be like there'd be a turn or an aside or a moment that a character has, and on script it's so funny. It's like a little one line or a little indication in the stage directions. And I was like, is this what I think this is? Because I love comedy. I love that stuff. And it could be something you could pass over and not make that choice, but it was very specifically written in there. I was like, okay, well, I'm leaning into this, and I'm good. You got to find the right level in the tone. And after meeting Susan Nielsen, the showrunner and creator, and you understand her sense of humor, then you're like, oh, this very much makes sense. And so that thing, the 2 parts of the show, where the dramatic energy and the comedic, catharsis that comes from that, is something that just makes me really, really enjoy reading it every episode, and then start to playing as we start shooting it.
Yeah, I mean, it is very nuanced. I think that's kind of what makes it so fascinating. And yeah, I agree to your point. It's not like your traditional procedural type law program, which there are so many of those to watch.
Yeah.
And I've interviewed people from a lot of those shows. So I think it's great. And I think the humor is what really sort of keeps the fire going with this, is that it is funny. And you said something interesting. Oftentimes when these shows are created, and they do have the nuanced humor in them, you do see you kind of figure out the sense of humor that the writers have.
Yeah.
Which I think is very cool that you even mentioned that. I don't think I've ever had anybody say that before, but really, that's what people find funny may not always be the same as what creators and showrunners find funny.
Yeah.
But then when you can kind of melt the two and marry them together, I think that's a recipe for success, right?
Well, it is, and it's about serving the material. People say that all the time, whether it's in film and TV or in plays, but it's what's the intention behind this? And we're very fortunate that we get to work directly with the people that wrote those words every day. So they're on set, and we can be playing in a scene, and if we have a question, we can go and ask them, like, do you want me to lean into this moment here a little bit more, or do you think blah, 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 or and we can kind of fine tune it as we go. And all of us, Victor, Jewel, Janelle, myself, and all the other supporting cast that we have, and the guest stars that come in, we constantly are dialed into that. And it's constantly a conversation that we're having. We've shot 3 seasons now. So I feel quite comfortable with where Daniel sits and the energy of the show. But especially in the first season, while we're really kind of fleshing that out, we're deciding what this is as we go. And it was really a conscious choice and an energy of all of us to go, we'd shoot a thing like, okay, let's do another one. I want to open that up a bit. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And is that going to be too much for the show? Or maybe actually that's exactly what that moment needed. And I think good shows allow that to happen, because especially when you're making it, like I'm sure you've seen shows when you watch like the pilot and then you watch, like, you get 5 episodes later, like, oh, now they found it. They found what the show was actually about, but it takes a bit to get there. And for us, I'm sure people might have criticisms that it's the same thing for us as they're watching the show along, but we felt very secure in what it was when we first got into it. And I remember all the people, the showrunners and the writers and the directors coming in, like, wow, you guys have really just been able to serve the material the way we have it and we want it. And that was kind of a big kind of compliment to us for going like, okay, great, we're tuned into this, let's go. And full tilt energy.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. It does take sometimes a while for a show to find its legs. Ryan Murphy said something in an interview recently. He always gets nervous, which is so crazy because everything that guy does is gold, but he gets challenged a lot because people feel that about his style. Is like it takes a while for people to get into what he's doing. And then once people see that, they get it and go, okay, now this makes sense as to what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But I like that though. I think that's okay.
I love that. And I think as artists in whatever field you're in, you have to pursue and go with what interests you and excites you.
Yeah.
And we're very fortunate in, as you said at the very beginning of this chat, that we're in a heyday of television. There's thousands of TV shows, like you have a conversation with somebody, hey, are you watching this? Are you watching that? Like half the shows I don't even know. Like, what are you talking about? There's so much television. And that's okay. That's good, because you can create a show very specifically to your liking. If it's, well acted and well produced and all that stuff, it can be something so specific, so nuanced, a very, tinted sense of humor or a perspective in something. And there's an audience for that. And people want that. And that's better. Like, now in the age that we're at, you can pick whatever. You can go on Netflix or, Amazon, or go on the CW, change the channels to whatever show that you want and find something that specifically speaks to your taste. And that's great. I think we need more of that rather than kind of shying away of like, well, will everybody like this? Well, if everybody likes it, you're making McDonald's, because everybody likes McDonald's. But
it's so true, my friend. It's so true. It's like, if you don't like it, that's why sometimes I have to be careful, because I get, a bit pedantic, and I'm like, well, if you don't like this, then don't watch it. Like, you have a choice. You know what I mean?
You have a choice, yeah.
There's like 5 million cable channels, 5 billion streamers. Obviously I'm exaggerating, but like literally there is something for everybody. But family law is the money. It's great. It's a lot of fun. If people have not watched it or are unsure where to watch it, Zach, where can they find it, stream it, and enjoy your great work?
Well, it's in the US right now. It's just launching season 1. We're on the CW. We're very, very, very happy to be on the CW there. They're quite proud of the show, as we are. So I think from what we're recording today, episode 5 is airing this Sunday at 8:00, which is great. Season 1 has aired in Canada on Global, and season 1 and 2, strangely enough, because our distributor's E1, it's in places like Italy and South Africa, South America and Brazil, Australia, and they've seen season 2 already, and and it's all on their different their networks there. But yeah, it's kind of all over the place. Streaming wise, I don't think you can stream it anywhere yet. That will be in the future, I'm sure.
Awesome. Well, Zach, thank you so much for your time. Great work. And I've been a fan of a lot of other things that you've done, but this show is great for people to enjoy. If you have not seen this yet, I encourage you to watch it because if not, you're missing out. Zach, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Brett, it's my pleasure, honestly. Thank you.
Likewise.